Thank you very much, Xavier. Welcome, everybody. First of all, let me thank you for the invitation. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Anna Jurga, and I work as a registry administrator of DNA database in Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police in Poland. My field is responsibilities for personal data in accordance with General Data Protection Regulation and other data protection regulations. I also attendance in a legislation working group regarding Polish DNA database, and I also conduct trainings for policemen. And today I would to present you our results. My presentation, it calls the use of rapid hit in the biometric projects. Then I try to tell you about our project which calls Biometria. And now I'd like to give you a brief outline of my presentation. First of all, I will start with present the situation of the Polish databases. Secondly, I'll talk about our project with calls Biometria. Then in part 3, I'm going to show you results of our internal validation of rapid hit ID. And then I will present the conclusion. Okay. Let's start. According to the provision of Police Act, in Poland exist two forensic biometric databases, the DNA database and fingerprint database. The DNA database is located in the Department of Biology of the Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police, and the fingerprint database is located in the fingerprint examination department, and we have two different departments. Collected information are delivered free of charge to national law enforcement or justice authorities who conduct criminal investigation or carrying out detective or identification activities. As you see, in Poland, forensic databases are sources of out-of-process information. And what does it mean? You should know that in Poland, a hit in the database constitutes only an intelligence indication and may not be admitted as an evidence in court. In order to be able to use a match from the database in pre-court proceedings, it is required to collect reference material from the suspect with observance all of the required proceedings, and then appoint an expert who will elaborate a forensic opinion. By law, the administrator of the data processed in above-mentioned databases within the meaning of the regulations on personal data protection is the commander-in-chief of the police. And as you see, who can be registered, what kinds of categories can we register in our databases? We have suspects or persons suspected of having committed crimes prosecuted by public prosecution, juveniles committing offenses prosecuted by indictment. And it's a good moment to mention that in this group, we have also persons who are arrested. The third category is person with mental disorders posing a threat to life, well-being, or sexual freedom of other person. Terrorists, forensic stain, unidentified human remains, unidentified person, missing person, relatives of missing person, foreigners, and policemen. But these last categories, the policemen and the person who work in laboratories, it's just for elimination. Currently, who can register the profile in databases in Poland? As you see, it could be police, prosecutor, court, internal security agency, border guard, military police, Central Anti-Corruption Bureau, and custom service. When we talk about the profiles, DNA profiles, now we have two different sources of these profiles. The first one is our laboratory, that means Central Forensic Laboratory. Policemen sent us reference material, then we analyzed the samples, and then we enter the profiles to our DNA database. The second source are forensic expert opinion made in laboratories accredited in accordance with the ISO 17025 standard. And here are some facts, some figures. In recent years, we have compared dactyloscopic and DNA data registration. As you see on this scheme, the blue one is dactyloscopic registration and the red one is DNA registration. The registration usually are made independently of each other and at different times. And as you see, many dactyloscopic registration do not coincide with the DNA registration. That means that not every person who has been registered in the dactyloscopic databases is also registered in the DNA database. And maybe this is an important thing that we have exactly the same law for collecting dactyloscopic data and DNA database. Then after this comparison, it was we just start to think how we can solve this problem. And it was the reason why we started looking for the solution that would allow us to comprehensively collect biometric data. And in July 2019, the Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police submitted a project application, and in November 2019 signed with the National Center for Research and Development the grant agreement number DOB Bio 10. And this grant is for the implementation and financing of the project in the area of state defense and security. And the project entitled Development of a Technologically Advanced Information System Enabling Automated Processing of Information Collected in Forensic Biometric Databases for the purpose of combating crime or identification people. Very long, then we have acronym Biometria. This project is carried out by a consortium composed of Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police. We are the leader of this project. Then Police Academy in Szczytno, Warsaw University of Technology, and IT company, it's Enigma. And the purpose of this project is to improve the exchange of information between police authorities and to facilitate the performance of official activities by officers conducting preparatory proceedings. Then, as you see, our project will consist IT system, and the system will consist of the station for comprehensive collection, labeling and transmission of biometric data in local police units. It will be DNA, fingerprint, and facial image. How it looks now in Poland. The currently operating station for the registration of personal identification data is the form of facial images, fingerprints, and handprints, and is equipped with a live scanner, a cabin for taking mugshot, and FBI certified color laser printer. After the image registration is completed, the full future station collects dactyloscopic data using live scanner. That means fingerprints and handprints. And similarly, a police officer conducting preparatory proceedings or explanatory activities is obliged to take a biological sample. But as I said before, the registration are made independently of each other and usually at different times. And in our project, we want to create the biometric collecting station. This is in this blue field. And the station will be consist of live scanner for the collection of dactyloscopic data, then rapid DNA for collection and determination of DNA profiles in field units. That's mean outside of the laboratory, and the model for the collection of facial images. The second model in this yellow field, you can find a station for high throughput digitization of data from existing biometric databases. Then will be also the tool for comprehensively proceedings of biometric data, and we called it Central Biometric Repository. What is important, this infrastructure will be connected by a secure police IT network. And now we are going to another part, to the Rapid Hit ID. All of us are witnesses to the enormous progress that is being made in forensic, and in particular in the field of forensic genetics. However, what has not changed for years is the fact that the basic research is still based on the analysis of the polymorphism STR loci. But we know that the standard analysis of DNA profiles carried out by qualified staff under laboratory conditions is a multi-stage process which consists of isolation and quantification of DNA, amplification of specific STR regions in PCR reaction, then separation of PCR products via capillary electrophoresis, and their detection and analysis of DNA profiles. And this process takes approximately 7 to 8 hours of work. That means it's both time and labor consuming. The testing time is additionally extended by the necessity to deliver samples of biological material to the laboratory. And it has therefore become necessary to reduce the time needed to generate DNA profiles, in particular those of persons who are arrested on suspicion of committing crimes with high criminal sanctions. And it was also the reason why we need to make this time shorter. Why we need to make faster the DNA profiles. We decide to use rapid DNA technology in our process because this process includes automatic isolation, amplification, electrophoresis, detection, and analysis of the profiles without human intervention. As you see, it's very fast. Actually, this technology doesn't need to be operated by people who are not specialists in forensic genetics. In our project, we choose Rapid Hit ID because it's the most compact and easy to use device. As you see, this Rapid Hit ID consists of the Rapid Hit ID instrument. Then we have 2 different cartridges. We use just this first one, ACE sample cartridge, because it serves for reference material. And then there is also the software, Rapid Link software and GeneMaker software. And the Rapid Hit ID is automated and mobile platform that it's very good for our project. Because we are implementing the project, it was necessary to carry out internal validation of Rapid Hit ID. And now I will show you just few results of our internal validation. The research material consisted of 118 samples taken from buccal swabs, saliva, blood, and hair in the anagen phase. Samples were collected from no donors, and each person consent was obtained to the extent necessary to validate the kit. And then the samples were anonymized. In order to verify the results generated with the Rapid Hit ID, reference samples were tested using the classic STR profiling methods routinely used in our department, biology department, including DNA isolation, DNA quantification, PCR, and electrophoresis. What was validated? Here you can see the parameters. It was analysis threshold, sensitivity, peak-high ratio, stochastic effect, mixture study, precision, reproducibility, stutters, concordance and sample variation, and cross-contamination study. I start from the sensitivity. To determine the sensitivity of the Rapid Hit ID was performed genetic profiling of the saliva sample in amount of 20 microliters, 10 microliters, 5, 2, and 1 microliters. Average amounts of DNA you can see also in this table. And in addition, were also tested volumes of 100 microliters and 50 microliters of saliva. And we obtained fully DNA profiles from a volume of 5 microliters of saliva in the sample, which corresponds to approximately 4 nanograms of template DNA. And partial profiles were obtained with 2 microliters of saliva in the sample, it corresponds to approximately 1.77 nanogram of template DNA. The limit of quantification was considered to be the content of 1 microliter of saliva in the sample, which corresponds to approximately 0.82 nanogram of template DNA. And below this amount, we observe a significant increase the number of unmarked loci. Another parameter, stochastic effect. As you know, stochastic effects are manifest as a fluctuation of results between replicate analysis. In other words, amplifying the same DNA extract twice can result in different alleles being detected at a locus. The highest peak of the sister allele dropout for the Rapid Hit ID instrument was 142 RFU and was observed in the SE33 locus. Another parameter, it was a peak-high ratio. And for the Rapid Hit ID instrument, the obtained results indicate that for a volume of 20 microliters saliva, all alleles or loci in the samples showed balance at the recommended level. Then that means that 100% we received a very good profiles. Only the loci SE33 was unbalanced at the volumes of 10 microliters and 5 microliters of saliva. But the average balance in the loci we reached the recommended level, and it was above 60%. Another parameters in our validation, it was the mixture study. As you see, you can see here the electrophoregram of a mixture of two people. It was male and female, and we mixed the saliva 1-to-1. For us, it was important to know if the instrument correctly marked this mixture as a polyploid. And it works because the samples were correctly marked as a polyploid and required. That means that require further expert evaluation. For us, this is important because this instrument will be on the police station, police unit. That means outside of the laboratory. And another parameters. Here we have another parameters. It was also the concordance study and a sample variation study. To evaluate the operation of the rapid hit ID, we took various types of biological material used in the forensic laboratory as reference material. And we tested buccal swabs, blood, but blood in the amount of 50 microliters taken from the capillaries. And there were also hair. It were 10 pieces. And as you see, we obtained the fully profile in all cases. Here you have the lab methods and the profiles, the results we received by using of rapid hit ID. And the conclusion of this validation, the first one is that the rapid hit meets our requirements of our project because the STR profiles, when we have a good quality samples, that mean, for example, from reference material, are sufficient for searching against the DNA database. Then rapid hit is instrument which can be operated by non-expert users. However, in our opinion, it is necessary to train people how to operate the rapid hit ID. And the profiles are performed automatically. And however, specialist knowledge is required for the detailed operation of the software. And now I just want to summarize our project Biometria. Because the implementation of this IT system in the Central Forensic Laboratory of the Police will allow for increasing the exchange of data and information in real time between law enforcement and our laboratories. It will allow for rapid processing of incoming information, providing customers with automated replies concerning registration and search results. What is important also for us, it will allow for removing unnecessary data from the database and facilitating the access to the biometric data for law enforcement officers conducting criminal proceedings, and also border guards and immigration service. And this is the significance of this project, that in the future this project should be implemented not only by the police but also by other services like border guard. In summary, just to summarize, the system under development, including the central biometric database, will have greater detection, identification, and evidentiary capabilities than other tools currently used. And system will enable officers conducting crime proceedings to access to information from integrated and continuously updated national database. That's mean DNA and dactyloscopic, and the later also face image databases. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Then thank you very much for your attention.